Hey everyone, it is Retire on Dividends Car Podcast time. This week it's Tuesday because this is my last day driving into the office, so it's the last day I could do a car podcast. So sorry for those who look forward to it on the Wednesday now. Well, obviously Friday's kind of out of the equation, but either way, let's get to it. I'm running late. It's light out, so you can tell I'm running late, which, sometimes, I got up at 3:30, yet I'm still running late to work. You gotta love it. But anyway, I wanted to talk about TSLY, everyone's favorite YieldMax ETF. But more importantly, I just want to talk about what I learned from investing in TSLY, in hopes that maybe this could help others along the way. So, in the beginning, when YieldMax came out, this is way back. This is when they only had OARC, and I think NVIDIA was just like being talked about to come out or whatever, but it was just very early stages. And I heard about it and I jumped in, right? I bought a little, I got a piece of the action, it was paying me a high amount, and that's when I decided to make the move. I'm like, you know what? If I can make this yield on my money, there's a possibility that I could change my life. And I don't regret doing that. Again, at that time, what I did, for those of you that don't know, is because I didn't have any cash like on the sideline that I could just throw in, but I took my contribution money from my IRA and my wife's IRA. These are Roth IRAs, because for a Roth IRA you're allowed to take out the original contributions without penalty, and the reason is because you already pay tax on it, so there's no, again, it's your money, you pay tax, you can do what you want with it. So I took out all of the original contributions from mine and my wife's Roth IRA. Most people would say that's stupid, but in my opinion, I can't touch that money till 59 and a half, right? So what good is it? What's the difference if I invest in that account or a taxable account? But anyway, the reason I moved it to the taxable account is so I can use that money and produce income now. So I took all that money, and what did I do? I moved it to a taxable account, and I bought TSLY. How much TSLY? Way too much TSLY. Way too much. So in the beginning, I bought a whole bunch of shares. I think I was playing it kind of smart in the beginning, and then I kind of got greedy, and I bought more up front just so I could see. I was shooting for that 1,000 a month from one fund, and I got there, but it was not worth it. So what did I do wrong? Well, the problem is, number one, I put way too much money into one fund. Should never ever do that unless it's a highly diversified ETF or index fund. Obviously, in that scenario, I don't really consider it one individual stock or one fund in general. It's just a diversified fund. But when you talk about the YieldMax funds, that's basically investing in one stock. It's most of them are one underlying stock. So what I did is I bought into it. There's a truck. I bought into it, and what the hell was I gonna say? I bought in way too much of it. So the first problem is I bought way too much into one fund. The second problem is I bought all at once. Again, like I said, I piecemealed in the beginning, and then at once, big chunk, and my average was this. And guess what? I basically said I'm not going to buy any more. But with these types of funds, you can never say that. So, moral of the story is, the biggest lessons learned is don't put all your eggs in one basket. I know that's a famous saying. Everyone knows that. That's common sense out there in the investing world. But the more important thing is do not buy too much at once. Buy small portions with these funds, with the YieldMax funds, with the Defiance funds, with all of these high yielding funds. I would highly recommend, not financial advice by the way, but I would highly recommend buying what you would consider, because everyone considers a small portion different. For me, a small portion is 10 shares, because 10 shares is typically around $200 or less. So when now, for example, yesterday I bought ULTI. ULTI is very high risk, high reward, but it interests me. I have interest in that fund. However, I'm not just going to jump in and buy 100 shares, because 100 shares to me is a lot of money. Okay, I'm going to buy 10 shares, and I did buy 10 shares. Again, it cost me around, a little less than $200. And guess what's going to happen? If I want to buy more, I'll buy 10 more shares. And guess what? I'm going to buy when it dips. So I'm going to lower my cost basis. But if I bought 100 shares, say at $20, and it dipped to 18, and I'm only able to buy 10 more shares, I can't properly dollar cost average down, because I bought way too much up front. But if I dollar cost average little by little by little, and lower my cost basis and keep it at a reasonable rate, not to mention if I want to get out of the position, that could happen, then the damage won't be as bad. Again, the mistake I made in TSLY is obviously, yes, too much in one stock, but yeah, I bought way too much at once. I would highly recommend, taking whatever you consider your daily, weekly buy, whatever, and make that the number. You can buy 1 share a day. Why not? What's the rush? Unless you're living off the income now, there is no rush. Buy little by little by little, feel it out, right? You have to be safe with these funds. I know people say these funds are the worst. All they do is decay, NAV erosion, right? This is the famous thing. But you can't just say that. It's not a blanket statement. Obviously, they look at TSLY and they say that. And a lot of people, unfortunately, did what I did, right? They bought all in on TSLY, right? And then sure enough, they could not ever average down as it was tanking. So their average cost basis is probably 50% down, and they probably sold out. And they have such a bad taste in their mouth over TSLY that YieldMax to them is just crap. And that's very unfortunate. So, and that's why I wanted to make more videos on a daily basis about the other funds, because these other funds are performing really, really good. Not all of them, not OARC necessarily, but look at all the other ones, man. Like I always say, AMZ. You want a safe one, buy AMZ, right? AMZ is amazing. They have held their capital, right? They have paid a high distribution. No, not 60% yield, but still 20 to 30% yield. That's a pretty good yield for maintaining your capital. But AMZ is a great example of how these funds work. So next time you think of YieldMax, think of AMZ, and then do the research from there. TSLY, it did not have a good year, and it did not continue. Right now, obviously it had a reverse split. So that alone is just, everyone just keeps saying, oh my God, I've been to reverse splits. It's only downhill from here, which, to me that means nothing, right? They could completely turn it around. But the problem, again, the good part about TSLY now, if you do buy it, Tesla is it got beaten. It's beaten down, man. Tesla is beaten down. And with earnings coming up, it could get beaten down even more. So, again, the unfortunate part about Tesla is there's always something in the news, and more times than not, it's something negative, because people have it out for Elon for whatever reason. I just don't get it. he's just, but that's, and the implied volatility on these funds, on Tesla, it's like 50%. Like, really? How is that the implied volatility on what seems to be the most volatile stock? But I don't know. But yeah, so anyway, the lesson learned on Tesla, and this goes for any fund in general, just don't be buying in all at once like that, especially on these high yielders, because the underlying can go down at any point in time, and when it does, or if it does, you're screwed, right? You're going to be miserable, because you know why? You can't capture the entire upside. So if you tank 20% in a year, it's going to take you a long time to recover, and that's if you recover. These funds typically, you can't expect capital appreciation from these funds. Obviously, when you look at Misty, when you look at Coney, when you look at Nvidia, they have capital appreciation. But look at their underlying, man. Their underlyings have skyrocketed. So if something skyrockets, if the underlying skyrockets, then of course, these funds are going to go up. But eventually they got to pay out that money. They got to pay out the income. So the funds will eventually be flat at some point when all's said and done, right? Because these stocks, they move up from what? They move up from premium income. So as they make premium income, the stock goes up. As they lose and pay, take a loss and pay out on losses from options contracts, then it goes down. So, but anyway, I just wanted to give my story on TSLY because TSLY it just gets a bad rap. Granted, I'm completely sold out of TSLY, and it's not because of I did it wrong. It's not because I screwed it up. It's just I see how it trades and I see how the fund works. Why is this shaking? And I just don't want to be a part of that. Okay, I don't remember the phone shaking like this, but maybe the roads are bumpier. We have beautiful roads in New Jersey, yeah. But what the heck was I saying? Yeah, so it's just Tesla. It moves too much up and down for my liking, and it doesn't get the appropriate IV for that. So that's really the reason I'm out. So if I'm gonna go in a high IV, high risky stock, right now my riskiest, well, it was Coney. Now I consider ULTI the riskiest because they invest in simply underlyings that are just so volatile. But I love it, man. I love it. Because when I started options, that's all I did. I looked for the most volatile stock and I traded options on it. It was the dumbest crap I've ever done. But that's how I learned options. Because I'm greedy and I wanted money. I wanted the good premium. And it was worth it. Yeah, I lost a lot of money. I don't care. It was worth it. I learned options. Again, when things went well, I made money, but at the same time, when you lose, you lose. But ULTI essentially does that. It does that for me. So I'm getting my fix of the high IV options trading through ULTI. And I'm going to keep that as a very small portion. And again, I'm going to slowly dollar cost average in. As I am with all of the other funds, by the way. I started a position in QQQI the other week, and I bought 10. I consider QQQI much safer than ULTI, but it doesn't matter. This strategy is the same. The strategy can be a little different. For example, HCOW, this is a lower yielder. This is like a 7%, 8%, maybe 10% yielder. This invests in basically high cash flow stocks that will raise their dividend. But the problem, I made a position in HCOW. HCOW has done nothing but gone up. So I can't dollar cost average down. So I have to make a decision if I want to increase that position to unfortunately buy at a higher price. But some ETFs, some stocks, you'll have to do that because they grow in capital more than others. With YieldMax, in my opinion, and Defiance, and some of these others, you don't have to do that. To me, they all eventually will come down. at some point below your average. Granted, if it doesn't, then even better. You're making money on your money, and eventually you'll make 100% on your money, which is amazing. But God, if I left like a half hour later than usual, and the traffic's just so much worse. But whatever, it is what it is. Anyway, what the heck was I saying? So yeah, Coney, like I said, it's a very good performer, but Coinbase, that's another one. It's in crypto world, crypto bubble land, and it takes a beating too. Not like Tesla, but it takes, they come after them. But granted, they kind of have like a good grip on the whole market. Who else are people using for crypto? Not Binance, right? Binance is maybe out of the US people. Non-US people use Binance, but I don't know. Like Coinbase is the crypto platform. Again, there's Robinhood, of course, but it's just it's the monopoly right now. So to me, it's pretty safe. But at the same time, I don't know. It's questionable for me, and I'm not 100% comfortable saying that I'm not going to sell that one, because I could sell that at any point in time. I'm up on it, but it's not a big position in my portfolio either. But it does bring up my yield on cost, which is good, because right now, since I sold out of TSLY, I didn't take that money and go ahead and rush and buy into anything. I'm slowly dipping my toes into the different funds that I already own, and dollar cost averaging, but while at the same time trying to maintain my 40% yield. So again, it's a fun game. At the same time, I'm doing options as well. I'm bringing in, I'm yielding about 100% on average, probably more on what I do with options, 100% annualized. So that obviously helps my 40% number, because I'm adding my options income to whatever I make on the dividend income when all said and done. Because in the end, you could live off that too. Why not? You could live off the dividend income. You could live off the options income. And just like with dividends, I'm keeping my options strategy pretty safe. I'm doing one fund, and I'm doing a cheap fund, and I'm doing a fund on Tesla. Another reason I sold TSLY, because I'm doing options on Tesla myself, but I'm doing it via TSLL, which is a much cheaper version, but it is 2x leverage. So it is much higher risk. However, I'm more comfortable with me trading TSLL versus YieldMax trading TSLA, which, that's unfortunate, but again, with their strategy, if they go 2% out of the money, 3% out of the money every week, I don't want to be a part of that. I just don't. All right? I'm sorry. I don't. But it is what it is. No hard feelings, TSLY. We still love you. You still started this, this trend, this high yielding, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's like a new era. People are realizing, okay, wait, I can actually yield more than 2% and it's not high risk. Yeah. People trade options for you. You can yield a lot. Granted, you can lose a lot, but that's the game, man. That's the risk you take. Especially if you're an old man like me. I'm 41. I don't want to work until 62. I don't want to work until 65. I definitely, don't want to work until 67, which is the maximum Social Security benefit. Who made that rule? 67? 67? Like, are you out of your mind? 67? No, thank you. I started working, and I haven't stopped. I started when I was 14. Back then, actually, people would hire kids at 14. So if I work till 67, what is that? That's 53 years of my life working. I don't want to spend 53 years of my life working. Forget it. You have to enjoy your life sometime. Working is good for you, of course, but the work I'm talking about is like forced work, right? The work that you have to go in because your bills depend on it, right? But when you get to a point where you don't have to work, going to work feels much, much better, right? When you don't have to work, you can do the job that you wish. You can go work at Costco you can greet people and be like, hey, can I see your receipt, or can I see your membership card? That's a pretty easy job. You know what the beauty of that job is? It stays there. You go home, there's no work. Like, there's no pile up of work. You take off a week, there's no pile up of work. So that's the beauty of those jobs. And it's just, again, there's jobs that are just a little easier, but they'll keep you busy. It's important to have hobbies. It's important to keep busy. I'm not saying retire early, stop working, become an alcoholic, sit home every day. Obviously that's not good. But the important piece is having the ability to retire early, or having the ability to produce multiple income sources besides only one, your job. What good is that? So you're solely reliant on one thing, and then you owe your life to that company, essentially. What is this? Road closed? Oh, no, it's not closed. Oh, God. But I think you get the gist. Don't rely on one income source. Which brings me to another point. People have stock options at work. So think about that. You rely on one income source for your income, for your weekly paycheck, okay? And then if you have stock options, that means you're investing even more money into the same company. So I don't ever think that's a good idea either, to be honest, unless you're getting a massive discount and you're selling as soon as you're vested. That's fine. But I don't see like how putting even more money into the same company, 40 hours of your life, 40 to 50 hours of your life, that's enough, right? That's enough of your invested time. So why invest even more money in the same company? But anyway, that's so you get the gist. The gist and the point of this channel is really for me to share my journey. And my journey is, the point is, I don't want to work until I'm 62, 65, 67. I want to be able to retire when I choose, which hopefully is at the age of 50 or earlier. But I'm hoping by the age of 50, I make enough money in dividend and options income that I have the option to retire. Doesn't mean I will retire. Maybe I'll get a new job, or maybe I'll just keep working where I'm at. But in the back of my head, guess what? I have such a great income source on top of my already income that, I can stay at the same company and there's no money issues, right? Having money issues, having bills like pile up, living paycheck to paycheck, that is not fun, because if you're at that point, then obviously you're even more reliant on your full-time job. Like, they own you. Like, you have to go in, you have to go to work, because if not, you lose the roof on your head. You can't feed your kids, so again, it's important to find additional income sources however you get there. To me, the easiest way is passive income via high yield funds, which are available. But of course, you can invest in the low dividend growth funds, such as SCHD, DGROW, all of them. Oh my God, these rules. Hope you you guys hear this, but this is what I deal with. They do construction in New Jersey during rush hour. Like, I don't know if, I guess, well, it is before 7. I don't know what rush hour is anymore, but it just never ends. But anyway, I think I'm done yapping for the day. I don't even know what I talked about, but I hope this was helpful, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully people had fun. But I'm gonna call it a day here. But as always, nothing I said was financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. These videos are for fun, are for entertainment. The point of this channel is simply for me to share my journey to retire on dividends. Along the way, if I could teach someone something, then that's a win-win as well. Because it's good to learn from your mistakes. It's good to learn from other people's mistakes. All right? And don't just listen to me either. There's plenty of good content out there, guys. There's a lot of really good YouTubers that are good people, you know? There's a lot of scammers too who just want your money. And you could tell, typically those people, they'll, within the first 5 minutes, or even 2 minutes, they're selling you something. Like, really? I don't know. It just gives me such a bad taste in my mouth when I hear that. But especially now, you know, being like a YouTuber with 10K subs, by the way. That's right, 10K, baby. Wasn't easy, believe me, 5 years. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't appreciate that. Like, I get they're probably making a full-time living off of this crap, but I don't know. To me, it's just like, it's not for good intention, right? But anyway, that's enough for one day. I hope you guys enjoyed this car podcast, even though it was light out, so you had to look at my ugly face. So sorry for that. But I'm almost at work, and maybe you guys are driving to work, so hopefully you have a safe drive. If not, just enjoy your day, whatever you're doing, all right? Thanks for watching, as always. Later.